Do you think the fact you were able to make those sacrifices stems from the disappointment you had with football? So you knew what you had to do to become a footballer, and you didn't get there because of injury, and being given a second chance through boxing. Do you think that kind of pushed you with the sacrifice and thinking, okay, I can not worry about this now. I'm going to focus on the boxing because of the pain that you felt in the past?
I think so, to a certain extent, because like I say, I didn't know what I was getting into, and I didn't know how far it could go. But I definitely, I knew what it'd take. I knew the sacrifices that it would make to be like a high performing athlete. I knew that. So I do think that helped. But the thing about boxing that I absolutely loved when I started as well, is when I played football, I genuinely, hand on heart, believe every single game I put 100% in, every single game. And like, it used to annoy the life out of me when I used to see some putting 75, someone putting 82, someone putting 25. So that used to annoy the life out of me. But in boxing, I was like, right, it's all about me. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, because what I will do will show. And I think that was the big difference. Even though people say, oh, it's a lonely sport, an individual sport, it is. But you're still part of a team when you're in boxing. But it's not necessarily, the result doesn't depend on the team, if that makes sense.
Fast forward, you get to a point where you become a professional. What made you decide to make that push?
Just opportunities. Everything that I've done really in my life, it is the same as sitting in that chair, and I can either take the risk and it like not work out, like football, like going to an American and going on a scholarship and going to play football. If I'd be sitting here now, like, and I hadn't have took that chance, it's fester, and it hurt more if I never knew what could have been. So every opportunity that's come my way I've took, because you can take it, and the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out. But what if it does? If you take it and it does. So I'd rather live with the, oh, it didn't work out, than the what ifs and the buts.
Going pro, you must have felt at the beginning a lot more nerves, a lot more anxiety. What are the type of things that you would do to help you through those moments?
I think yoga was a good one. And I started working with a couple of sports psychologists. Now, I had done that on GB as well, which is the reason why I wanted a sports psychologist as part of my team. But also, as well as, as like a sports psychologist in that sense, I work with people who were a lot more spiritual as well. And I kind of delved into that side of myself. I love psychology and the way the brain works. I think the brain is the most powerful thing you've got, and the most powerful tool you've got. So I started doing courses and reading books and learning about myself and what makes me tick mentally more than physically. Physically, I can get down to 7 stone if I want, or I can be up at 11 stone. But I will never do that if my mind isn't with it. I can win or I can lose, but I can do all them things, but I can't do it if my mind's not with me. So I realised that quite early on, and yeah, I started to learn about myself, and part of that journey was about being in the moment. And like I said, I kept on missing things by just focusing on other things, and instead of focusing on what's coming or what's been and gone, and not staying in the present and realising and looking around and experiencing what was happening right then and in the now.
Being in the moment, I know when it comes to a lot of sport, a lot of people like to visualize their sport or visualize their fights. Being in the moment, let's say you're in the moment and things are not going according to plan, but you visualize how the fight was supposed to be. How do you handle those situations?
I probably have, this is no word of a lie, on the night before a fight, I must do in my brain about 420 rounds. So by the time the fight comes, I'm already mentally exhausted because I've done it all. I've seen it all. I've felt it all. I've smelt it. I've touched it. I've, tasted it. I've felt the goosebumps of the crowd. I've done it all. But there's little things strategies that I have that to bring myself back, because then when them tough moments come, because they do come. This is boxing. You can, in your dreams, you can hit someone once and knock them down, but that doesn't always happen. So when them tough moments come, I've just have coping strategies that I've worked on, that bring myself back around to, and even in bad spars, process it, and that was bad. Why was it bad? This is why it was bad. And then I just put it away, and that's it. I just get over it, and yeah. I say to Joe, I'm allowed 3 bad spars in a camp, and then that's just one of them spars, and just put it away. So you just move on. Obviously, it's a bit different in a fight because you don't have that opportunity, but yeah, you just gotta learn about yourself. I think most things are, because not every eventuality happens, and sometimes you'll get there and you're like, oh, this is something new that I didn't expect. I've been kicked in boxing once, and I was like,
wow,
was that a low blow, or did she? So you know what I mean? There's things that just happen that you just don't expect to happen. But yeah, you've just got to learn about yourself and learn about what makes you tick to overcome them tough things. And it won't be the same for everyone. I could be saying all kinds, and people like, oh yeah, that would work for me, or that wouldn't, and it's just different. It's just a learning thing.
When it comes to your relationship with your trainer, is that something that has always been the same, or is that something that's changed over the years in terms of some of the questions you may ask them, some of the things they may say to you? How are the dynamics between you and your trainer?
It's funny. God, you should. I think Joe would probably say different, but when I first came, obviously it's like that, being that little girl on the wall and ready to be picked, and especially turning pro, I had to. I was already, everyone, all the boxers I knew, Crawler, all the Smiths, Callum Johnson, all them, Jose Burton, I knew all them. But you're trying to impress, you're trying to put your best foot forward, like turning up for the England camp on your first day. You're going to want to impress the coaches, and that's exactly what it did. But your relationship develops now, like, we've both been through a lot of things together within boxing, that now, like, I'm a lot more confident to be able to say, right, Joe, I'm not doing that session today because X, Y, Z, but I will, and then he'll say, well, I think you should do it because of X, Y, Z, and I'll either do it, or he'll understand what I've said, and so, like, you just get to, it's just that you just get to know people, and he always, he used to do things to make me, to see where my breaking point was, and that was one of his, like, tests. He always used to, like, test mentally, physically, whatever it was, emotionally, where my breaking point was, and we would reach it at times. But again, now I'm aware now. It's just a test, like, and he knows now. He doesn't even do it anymore, to be fair, but he did. He is used to. But again, like, when we sit down, and obviously when you're around and we speak about it, and now what's funny is I recognise that when he's doing it to somebody else, and like I'll be like, right, don't get fingered by it. It's just a test. Like, and I can see them getting mad, and I'm knocking back, and he's giving me head in, and I'm like, it's just a test. Don't worry about it. Like, tomorrow will be different. Just get through it. It'll be fine.
What do you think gave you the mindset to understand that it's just a test, and that he actually wants the best for you? Because you see with many fighters, something doesn't quite work with their trainer, and they're gone to the next one, and they're jumping trainer to trainer. What gave you the mindset to think, no, what he's saying is right, I'm going to stick to this. I might not agree with some of the stuff, but I'm going to stick to this?
I don't know. Probably for me, it's that I won't be broke by anybody. Like, if I'm gonna break it, it'll be through myself, not through anybody else. Nobody's gonna break me. I don't think anybody can. So yeah, it's more that, and the more people say that I can't do it, or the more I'll prove to you that I can, and he knows that now. So yeah, it's more that, and I think that's definitely a family trait, definitely an environmental thing, you know, and yeah, I think that's something that's been instilled from a very, very young age, from growing up by where I lived and in the situations and surroundings that I was in.
Let's fast forward. So you get to the point where you are challenging for a world title. Talk to us about how your mindset was when you were going through that experience.
For the first world title?
Yeah.
Okay. It was different. It was very different because we was in lockdown for that. So there was no boxing at all for a year. I was given the opportunity, and then lockdown came, and all sports stopped. All boxing was stopped. The doors were shut, and it wasn't going to happen. And at that time, I panicked because I didn't know if I was going to get that opportunity again. It was an opportunity that I was given as like I don't know, I felt like it was an opportunity given to the other boxer, to the current world champion, as I was a good name to have on their record. So when I thought, when the borders open, she's going to just choose somebody else, because I wasn't a mandatory, I wasn't anything. So so then it gets decided that we would box, because the boxing board closed the borders, so they couldn't fly any foreign boxers into the UK. It was only UK boxers had to fight UK boxers. So then obviously we was in bubbles. Now I was bubbling with me nan and me mum, but that had to stop because I was then going to the gym to Joe. So then it was literally me, the baby, and Joe. Well, me and the baby 24/7. She didn't leave my side. It was homeschooling when we was back home. She was in the gym with me and Joe. I'd be chasing her down. He involved her, which was great for me, because then she enjoyed coming to the gym. Obviously, for the kids to come to the gym, she was only, I think, 3 or 4 at the time, and sit there for 2 hours. She was bored.
Yeah.
And then I'd be sparring, she'd be saying, "Mummy," and it just put me off. So Joe would be like, "Right, Mila, you're the coach number 2, and you count Mummy's reps." So I'd be doing sit-ups, she'd be like 1, 2, and she was made up. You know, you give Mummy water, she'd be giving me water, all made up. When I was running down the track, he'd be like, "Mila, go, Mummy, go." So I'd be legging it. There's a brilliant picture of me chasing her down the track. So then, and financially, obviously, we're self-employed athletes. If we don't box, we don't get paid. So the money wasn't great, but I took it because there was literally no other opportunities that I could see coming. I was under financial strain from the house and mortgages and everything else, and so yeah, I took it with I literally had nothing to lose and everything to gain, and plus I felt so disrespected by some of the comments on that. Like, when the fight was announced, it was like, she's too old, you know, she's not the fighter she was, she's been beat and all this and all. And I was like, wow, you've got me down as some absolute loser, who's just coming to collect a check for a payday. And they had this Terry Harper built up as, you know, the next big thing, and she's too fast, she's too young, she's too fresh, she's too this, she's too that. And I was like, wow, like, you haven't given me a chance here. And like I say, that thing that, like, you all think, you all say I can't, I'm going to show you that I can. And that kicked into overdrive, and then the fight happened, and, you know, it ended up being a contentious, in my eyes, draw. A fight that I believe I won, but, you know, I just took the positives from that and got better. That, in hindsight, was probably one of the best things PR-wise that could have happened to me, because everything that led from that situation has made me into the person and the champion that I am now.
So you that ended up in a draw. We fast forward. Eventually, you end up winning your first world title. Talk to us about how you felt at that moment, because you've now achieved something, but then also you know that everyone is coming for you. Like, talk to us about the initial bit of achieving it and then the next step.
Yeah, I remember Joe saying to me, listen, when you walk through these, this is for the Terry Harper fight even, when you walk through these doors now, um, and go to that level, you can't come back. There's no coming back from it, and you're always gonna have like a mark on your back. And if you win it, everybody's gonna be after you. You're gonna be the new target. The same way Terry was for me. Everybody's gonna be turning to you. So I knew that, and I was expecting that. Now when I went out and won the title, the first thing that I thought was relief, because like literally I'd said, I was telling myself, and I was trying to convince everybody else that I was good enough. And then I was just getting so close and getting so close. And then it wasn't happening, or it wasn't working out. And I was like, oh, I had to keep trying to prove to people that I was good enough. And then when it finally happened, I was like, I'm just so relieved. And when I hugged Joe, he was like, we did it. And I was like, we did it. And that was just, it was just simple relief. And that was the only emotion that I felt. And I felt vindicated for everything that I was trying to prove to everybody else. And now I don't even attempt to prove it to anybody else. I don't actually care anymore what anybody thinks or what. I just need to. I'm confident in myself now that it's just about me. I don't need to prove to anybody how good I am. I know it now, and I proved it now.
Did your motivational levels change, or was it still the same?
No, it's definitely still the same. But how I look at it is different. So now I just think everything that happens after that is a bonus. So yeah. The second world title, third world title, whatever comes next now is a bonus. And that's how I see it. Like, I said I was going to do it, and I've done it. So now whatever comes after that is in addition, because I've reached what I set out to do. So yeah, but like that doesn't mean that I'm happy with being, a 1 belt or a 2 belt or a 3 belt champion or whatever comes next. Like the minute I feel that, 1, I don't enjoy it, 2, I'm not improving, or yeah, I will step away. I've done it before. I will step away. But like I say, I just the outlook on it and the way I perceive it as a challenge is different. I look at it different.
In terms of your mindset, you've kind of touched on a lot of your strengths already, but what do you think are like the 3 main strengths you have when it comes to your mindset? And then what are the 3 things you think you could improve to take you to the next level?
I think a strong point is resilience. Yeah, like I say, them highs are high, but them lows are low, and it's how you bounce back from them. And there's loads of a million quotes and whatever, but it can be tough, and not everyone does. But like I say, you've just got to find out what works for you. I think mental toughness. Yeah, and that just having that like bounce back ability, I suppose. I did a little bit similar to resilience, to be fair, but yeah, just yeah. How strong my mind is, and when I say I'm going to do something, and when I set a goal, like I'll do it. Like no matter what happens, that's going to be done. And breaking barriers. Like I'm not scared to be the first to do something, and just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean that it can't be. I like it sounds stupid, but like I was the only girl to be playing around with the lads, but just because all the other girls didn't want to do it didn't mean I didn't. And when I played football, I had one other mate that played football, apart from that, nobody else did it. When I started boxing, nobody else boxed, but just because they didn't do it and they didn't enjoy it didn't mean I wouldn't to. I wasn't that kid that sat down round in street corners and smoked and drank at the weekends. I knew what I wanted, and I went for it, and I did whatever it whatever was necessary to make sure it happened. So, that sometimes, especially in your teenage years, when all you want to do is fit in. Like, sometimes I used to hide that I was good at sport because none of my mates were sporty. So I used to be like, no, I'm not going to the school, I'm just going home, and I'd run to the club. But yeah, so yeah, just, it can be tough at times, like I say, especially in them years. But yeah, I stuck to it, and I do work hard, and I do try my best, and I never give up. So things that I need to be better at. I think definitely in the past it's been, not criticism in the sense of like constructive criticism or anything, but accepting people's opinion as truth, as the truth. You can, and especially when it's so easy now on social media, you go and you see you're rubbish, you're great, you're rubbish, you're great, and you'll scroll back and you'll be like, who said I'm rubbish? And you'll focus and home in on that one negative thing, and that can wreck you more than a million you're great. And it, like I say, it definitely in the past has been something that I absolutely hated. That I hated seeing like negative or people thinking that I wasn't good enough. And I do think I've evolved into, like I say, be more confident and be a little more like, it's all about me, it's not about you. It's not like I'm not trying to please anybody anymore. I'm just trying to please myself and be true to myself. But that has in the past like affected me. I think being able to juggle things and organise things is definitely, and prioritise things, and your priorities do change. Like when I had the baby, everything changed. Sport didn't really seem that important when I was in charge of someone's life.
Yeah.
So your priorities do change. I still want to stay true to who I am, and just because I'm a mum doesn't mean that I stop having dreams and stop having wanting to be successful. I actually want to be more successful, so she can see, and get all the good qualities of that, of what it takes to be successful and the sacrifices that I want my little girl to to my little girl now. You say you ask her who her favourite football player is, and she'll say her auntie Kita. So, to her, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You can do anything because her auntie Kita shows her that, and her mum shows her that she can. So, I think, but just being able, it was a struggle at first to be able to manage everything. And then a third one. Can't even think.
If you haven't got a third one, that's good.
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot of those, and as soon as this interview's over, I'll be thinking, oh, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say that? But yeah, one thing that I haven't mentioned that it do, and that it was only, like I said, when I was speaking to the person that I was working with who speaks more on the spiritual side. I realised, like, all my life I've been manifesting. I remember being a young girl and looking at Diane Modal, Kelly Holmes, Sally Gunnell. My favourite, obviously she's been a bit disgraced now, but my favourite at the time was Marion Jones. And when I was in America, she was like, she was an athlete by that time, but I knew that she'd been a basketball player and a good successful one at that, and I was thinking, wow, she's changed sports and she's smashed it at both. Like, I want to be like her. And I've looked up to people. And when I started getting a bit more serious about football, I watched Mia Hamm. And I was like, I'm so better than her. I can be way better than her. You know, all I have to do is get to America and be seen. And that mindset and that, like, looking at her and I wanting to be, I'm manifesting, I'm going to be better than her, got me the grades that I needed to go to America and play football, and, you know, and that. And then, you know, now in boxing, like I said, my mum said, like, I told her I thought I was going to the Olympics, and off it goes. And now, like, I look at Manny Pacquiao and I think, wow, like, your whole country stops still when you fight, and you're so much more than a boxer to so many people. Now, I'm not saying that I'm that, but I definitely aspire to be like that. And, you know, and even if it's not Britain that I do that in, if I can do that just in Liverpool, that's enough for me. I don't need to change the world, I just need to change my part of it. And if some little kid from Liverpool 8 looks at Nikita and says, you know what, I want to be like her, and does better, then that's our job done.
It says a lot about your mindset. It says a lot about how, in terms of manifesting, in terms of what you say can have a massive impact on your future. How you think when you're younger, how you think along the journey. If you have that mindset and you do all the other stuff, the hard work that you need to do to get there, it shows you that it's possible to get there. 100%. So if you go in with a negative mindset, thinking I can't do this, I can't do that, then you won't do that.
Of course, and that's why the words are so important, and like what you project out is so important. I remember, you know, growing up, having a conversation with my mum. My mum was a very young mum. She had me when she was 15. That's why we lived in my nan's house. She was still only a baby herself, but, you know, she was told that she should it would probably be best if she had an abortion, and, you know, it would be likely that I would grow up and be like her. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but be a young mum and, you know, be victim to my surroundings. And that's what I'm saying about, yeah, the area was tough that we grew up in, but it also taught me a lot of lessons. And sometimes I looked around my area and thought, I am not going to be like anyone in here. And you know, when I had that conversation with my mum and my nan, like, I was like, I was took back by already before I was even on the planet. People were saying who I could be, how far I could get in life, and what I could become. And it stuck with me, because I always thought, I'm not going to be any of them things that they said. And also, that's what hurt when I came back from America and I hadn't achieved what I wanted to in football, because through that 1 year that I was out, and, you know, like I say, I was down and just couldn't see anything positive. I believed I was slipping into them stereotypical things that other people thought about people like me in that area. And that's what hurt. That's what hurt the most, that I could see myself turning into the person that I always didn't want to be.
Last year, you did something quite magnificent. You were named British Boxer of the Year. I think you were the first female to do that. How did it feel to be recognised amongst your peers? Like, there's so many great British boxers that are competing. How did it feel when that was awarded to you?
It was mad. One thing, like, you got a little book on your table of, like, you know, past winners and, you know, all advertising stuff. And I was looking and I seen, you know, Calzaghe, Ricky Hatton, Crawler had won it, Callum Smith had won it, Barry McGuigan, and just, like, people who I looked up to, Lennox Lewis. And I thought, wow, like, imagine next year sitting here and reading the book and it's going to have my name. And that's what I thought. And then, like, 10 minutes later, it's like, the winner is Natasha Jonas. I was like, no way. and not only, like, it was great, there was so many great competitors that were in that list. And for the first time, there was six nominees, and 3 of them were women. So there was also Chantal Cameron and Nina Smith, and it was just like, wow, like, we not only did I win it, but like the first time there was 3, and people, when I was doing the interviews, I was like, they're like, how do you feel? And I just didn't know what to feel, because it was just like a mad little moment that it was just mad. It was like, yeah, it felt like I was in it, but I wasn't there at the same time. It was just a mad little moment. But I was obviously proud, and like I say, like now I obviously, and then next year, and my name will be there for the last year's winner. So.
It's quite magnificent. 100%. Tasha, this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this episode. We probably can go on forever.
Oh God! I told you I could talk. I didn't say that. I did.
No. Yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. You've left so much gems that I'm sure our listeners are gonna quite appreciate. And for anyone that's young who's coming through as a boxer, it's going to be useful information for them going forward. So no, thank you again for coming onto this episode.
Can I leave you with one more quote? And this is, I don't know where it's from, but I know that my granddad used to say it. You have 3 names in life. One you're given, one you inherit, and the other you make for yourself.